All right, let's give it a little bit to marinate when it's streaming live. Do you guys see it in the Facebook group by any chance?
I'm not even in there. I just zoom in.
Not yet.
Yeah, it looks like we're live. All right, folks, we finally got this up and running and going. Holy cow. I guess Zoom took in the last 24 to 48 hours, man, and it just did some work when it came to our trainings here. But guys, welcome everybody. Whoever's watching, whether you're watching on LinkedIn, you're watching on YouTube, or if you are watching on Facebook Live, welcome to today's class. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about handling objections during the holidays, right? And this is using NLP techniques. So everything that I'm hearing right now from a lot of folks is people are trying to wait till after the holidays in terms of common objections. If you guys have any common objections that you're constantly getting, definitely drop them into the chat or drop them into the comments. And if you're watching us live, put hashtag live, or if you're watching the replay of this, put hashtag replay, and then drop your question in the comments so that we can be able to give you some more direction on how to handle these objections, because this is what's stopping people cold right now. So whether you're using a dialer, it doesn't matter. Whether you got a list of everybody's cell phone numbers from expired listings, for sale owners, it's getting an appointment in this time is so critical. And it's going to all boil down to your ability to close and your skills and your confidence when it comes to scripting and dialogues. So what we'll do today is we'll cover different approaches that you can use. One of the key approaches that I find it to be incredibly powerful when lead generating is metaphors, right? So metaphors is something that, and we'll deeper into what a metaphor is, but metaphors is something that really brings people together because they can relate to the metaphor and they can relate to the story, But for those of you guys who are looking to jump on Zoom right now, just real quick to add, if you're looking to jump on Zoom, just go to the event tab or type in hashtag live and put hashtag VIP, and we will get you the link to jump on Zoom, because we're only going to be streaming a portion of this training, and then we'll be switching into VIP mode. And as of right now, we're back to the promotion where VIP 7, we're offering this for a short period of time, give you a taste and opportunity to get a chance to connect with me and have direct access to whether it's myself or any of the trainers right after the training. And the link is vip7.robscoaching.com. So just jumping into it, we got Leon, let's live right here. Leon, what kind of objections, or can you share with us some of the objections that you've been getting during this time? And I'll even look on the Facebook feed as well and see what kind of objections people are getting at this moment in time when it comes to the holiday.
Most people want to use the excuse that they're pulling the house off the market for the holidays because they don't want to be bothered. Letting people come through. And my number one thing I tell them is, well, if we have an offer on your house and it's off the market, you pick your closing date, you get through the holidays and you're not bothered at all, but you beat everybody else to the front of the line.
Awesome. So I love that. So I'm just going to comment. Okay, come on. Let's work here. We got common objections during the holidays, right? And I've heard that one a lot. So let's see here. You said we don't want to list, or we don't want to list it on the market now because of the showings or because you're traveling?
They don't want the traffic showings through the holidays.
To avoid the traffic during the holidays. Awesome. Let's see if we can come up with two more. What other objections are you commonly getting? Here's the ones that I've heard, which they may not have to do with the holidays, but basically it's part of it has to do with the school season. So, we missed the opportunity for our kids' school, right? To switch over.
And some think it's just a bad time to sell.
Yeah.
So they think during the holidays, no one's going to see it. And they don't realize you got people still shopping, mostly singles or couples without kids. They're still shopping, looking for the opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We got room for more if anybody wants to do. I'm looking at the comments here. Let's see, guys. What? Anybody here? Let's see, guys. What? Trying to make a comment here. Okay. So Cece, if you could tag folks in the group during the video at everyone. So this way, if anybody has a comment, that would be cool. So here's what I do specifically when it comes to handling objections. And it's like a 5-step process, but however you want to put it together, it works, for pretty much any objection that comes up. The first thing that you always do is you want to acknowledge. So step number 1, you want to acknowledge the person and repeat the objection, right? So the moment they say, well, listen, Leon, we don't want to list our home right now because of the fact that we just don't want the traffic. Simple thing is, I completely understand why you wouldn't want to list your home on the market right now because of the traffic that's happening, right? So it's we're breaking it down where I completely, and you can make this however you want to. I completely and 100% understand why you wouldn't want to list your home, right, during the holidays. So this right here, you're basically acknowledging you're that, listen, my goal here is not to make you wrong. My goal is to let you know that I'm on your side. And oftentimes what happens is, as salespeople, is that we want to be able to get into a fight. We want to be able to get into a battle. We script the seller. And when this is the first way for us to interact in a sales conversation. If anything, it pushes people away and it makes things very difficult, that people feel like now they're in a fight. Nobody wants to get into a fight. So the moment that you say, I completely and 100%, or I understand completely or 100% understand why you don't want to list your home during the holidays. Okay. So that's the first thing. Step 1, you acknowledge. Then now you have them on your side. Step 2, and I love using this step here. And what would happen if? So what would happen if? So now we're doing is we're creating possibilities. And what would happen if you did list your home during the holidays? Right? And what would happen if you did list your home during the holidays and we helped you net the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time? Right? Without the heavy traffic, from buyers. So now we say, and what would happen if? So what would happen if is a simple technique in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, called level shifting. There's so many different level shifts out there. And this is one of my favorite ones because and what would happen if you did, this is an embedded command. Well, this is the modal operator. List your home is the embedded command during the holidays. And we helped you net the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time, because guess what? That's what every seller wants. That's what even buyers, if this is what buyer and we helped you, right, save the most amount of money during the holidays in the shortest amount of time without the thing that they want the most, that they want to avoid. So now we put in, they want to avoid traffic. So we say without the heavy traffic from the buyers. And then now we have something that we call a tie down. Would that work for you? So now we're getting the person to acknowledge. And oftentimes what happens is that people will hear this and they'll say, well, shoot, I mean, if you can net me the most amount of money and we could do it during the holidays and I won't have all that crazy traffic, tell me more. And that's usually what happens. So step 3. I'm so glad we're talking. And this is provided that they're like, hey, look, tell me more about this. You know what? Sure, I'd be willing to do this. Then I'm so glad we're talking. Step 4. When would be a good time for us? When would be a good time for us to get together? I have some time today at 3 or tomorrow at 4 p.m., whatever time you have. Simple. Any questions thus far with this? Is this making sense to you guys? Whoever's on the chat, if you guys are streaming, I see folks on Facebook. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, because we're gonna do more of a deeper dive to this. But if you're not on Zoom with us and you're not a VIP member, you're not going to be able to have the opportunity to connect with all of this. So whoever wants to jump on, put hashtag VIP and you'll get the link. CC will help you out. She'll give you the link. So this way you guys can be a part of this, this chat right now. And this will help you to handle all these objections that are happening during the holidays. So any questions thus far? Ken, great to see you on board, man. It's great to see you here. Cool. So now that we did this one here, let's try another one. And I'll go ahead and I'll read this completely. So here's the common objection. We don't want to list right now to avoid the traffic during the holidays. Well, you know what, Leon? I completely and 100% understand why you wouldn't want to list your home during the holidays. And what would happen if you did list your home, right, during the holidays, and we helped you net the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time without the heavy traffic of buyers? Would that work for you? Downswing at the end of the sentence.
It would.
Awesome. Well, listen, I'm so glad that we're talking. When would be a good time for us to get together? I have some time today at 3 or tomorrow at 4.
4 tomorrow works for me.
Perfect. So that's the main gist of handling objections. And this is pretty much any objection. Now, let's say, for example, Leon, instead of you going with it, give me a rebuttal to what you're saying. And then I'll show everyone real quick before I cut the feed here, how we go ahead and handle those other objections. Go for it.
I guess the number one you hear is, well, I'm gonna have to talk to my significant other because she decided that she wanted to pull it off the market, and I'm not gonna argue with mama.
Have to talk to.
Because I mean, and that's a good thing, Noel, going into that, because you want all the major parties and players anyway. So if I just have the one person talking to, I don't know where the other person is if there's more than one person on title.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And that's great information. So Leon, if I'm hearing you correctly, okay, So again, this is part of the setup for a level shift. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you need to talk to your partner, your significant other, before we get together. Right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Hey, listen, I'm in total agreement with you. And when would that be?
When she gets home from work tonight.
Okay, perfect. So basically, once you get a chance to talk to your spouse, your significant other, when she gets home tonight, then from there we'll be able to set an appointment and get together. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, let me ask you this. Provided that everything goes well, and again, this is where now we get into metaphors and we get into communicating more of a communication that's like a conversation, right? For some people. So provided that everything goes well with you and your significant other, and you guys are ready to get together, when do you think potentially we could get together? Do you think that tomorrow at 4 p.m. it would work?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'm so glad that we talked through this. Here's what I can do. What I can do is I can pencil you guys in for tomorrow at 4 o'clock, right? Because my schedule fills up pretty quickly, and it's easier for me to erase an appointment than it is to try to squeeze you in. So let's go ahead and let's book the appointment for tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And what I'll do is say later tonight, I'll drop you a text and confirm that everything's good for tomorrow.
That'll work.
Fair enough. All right, perfect. So tomorrow at 4 o'clock, what's the best email for me to send you a calendar invitation?
It'd just be my name at me.com.
Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to send you the invitation. And then that's it. That's the close. That's the close for the appointment. It's just keeping it as simple as possible for anybody that's communicating. And then from there, once you close, then you close. And I handled the objection, and I acknowledged the fact that he has to get together with his significant other. Now, Leon, have you ever heard anybody else handle this objection where they get into a fight and an argument over that in your career?
Of course.
and I'd love to hear.
Here's what I'll say about this, though, because you know what? When they say you get too salesy, you did not push too hard to get the appointment. It was a very soft. You left it even open that it could be canceled. You gave the reason why you want to put it down is because your schedule fills up, and you just moved on with it. And that's better than someone just saying, oh, well, will 5 work with this, with that? It's like at a certain point, you get people that push too hard. What they do is they push people off the table instead of bringing them to the table.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Awesome. So those of you guys who are on Facebook right now, folks, we're going to stop the feed. And if anything, if you guys want to jump in here, just click on the link. The Zoom link is in the event. I made it real easy for folks this time around. So this week you just register and jump on, and you can be able to catch this and catch this training and be a part of it. And right now we have folks who are looking to continue with the VIP portion of this, and I'm going to handle the other 2 objections in the VIP portion of this training. So if you are in VIP, you could just stay on. If not, then I say connect with Cece. I'm going to put, so Ken is in here, so I'm going to put Ken in the room with Cece, and you guys can talk about VIP and how that works, and we'll keep it going from there. So let me just do this here real quick. All right, so there we go. So Ken, you just jump in and you just hit join, and then from there, we'll see you back in this call right now. So switching into VIP mode, let's go ahead and handle these objections. Now, the next objection that we have is we missed the opportunity for our kids to switch over, okay? So going back to this objection right here, I'm going to copy this, paste it We'll jump right into the next one here. All right, we missed the opportunity for our kids to switch over. I'm going to go back to this step here. Copy this. Paste it here. So first thing we're going to do, acknowledge the person and repeat the objection. I completely understand how this could be a challenge for you and your family. Acknowledge, repeat, and affirm. So for you and your family that you missed the opportunity to switch over schools. Same technique. And what would happen if you did list your home during this period, right? Because she didn't mention anything about the holidays, or he didn't mention anything about the holidays. And we helped you net the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time without the inconvenience switching your kids over to another school. Would that work for you? Right? Now, at this point, let's say the seller is Ken, right? At this point, Ken is probably saying to himself, holy cow, how am I going to do this? Right? Well, we're going to be moving to another town, or we're going to be moving here, or we're going to be moving there, whatever the case might be, whatever might be going through their head. That's not for us to interpret. What it is for us is to basically acknowledge and repeat what their objection is. And then the moment that we say, what would happen if, creates the curiosity, and then switching the kids over to another school, would that work for you? Okay. So let's pretend that you're Ken, Leon. And you say, would that work for you?
If someone could show me how.
Okay, so if we can show you how, that would work for you, right? Great. I'm so glad that we're talking. So when would be a good time for us to get together? Today at 3 or tomorrow at 4? Follow the same format, because the ultimate goal of lead generating, handling objections, is to set up an appointment. And the question that the objection is bringing up, and basically an objection is a question in the mind of the buyer or the seller or the client, is how are we going to do this? How are we going to accomplish this? How are we going to, simply sell our house without the inconvenience of not having to switch our kids over? This is something I'm curious about. And that's the ultimate goal, is to create curiosity. When we create the curiosity for other people, then they're more apt to wanting to set the appointment with us. And then from there, don't beat around the bush. We go for the appointment. So now we set the appointment. And let's go for the last one here, which is, it's a bad time to sell. No one will come and see it, right? This is one of my favorite ones. So it's a bad time to sell. No one will come and see it. And we've got so many other objections. So if you have an objection that you want to drop into the chat, go for it. Or anybody else that's on Zoom, you can drop your objections in the chat and we can handle it here for you. So I go back to the same format.
One of the other things I do, Rob, is I look at so of course always you need to look up when I'm talking to people. I love being in front of the computer because I got all the information at my fingertips. And what I do is I wait till I connect with them later in the day and do the follow-up to confirm the appointment the next day. but I'll go pull up the same period last year through the holidays or whatever time frame we're talking about to show what kind of market activity was there. Because even if I don't have as many numbers, generally speaking, I've got full price or higher price because there was less homes on the market, people were bidding. So I'm showing them that there's still activity going on and that they're going to get that higher price we're talking about. Because, you know, how people are visual and they see that. And then they see time on market during that period and stuff like that. And it kind of strengthens what I'm telling them.
100%. And the other thing too, I notice is definitely the visual part will support them. But isn't it cool that you can be able to just take a person from point A to Z by walking them through the process in a very friendly, a very cordial, and a very empowering way. And I think by you providing those visuals, that creates it. That's the difference between what's happening today with the experienced salesperson and the agent who's under desperation right now. Because right now, people are in a massive level of desperation. Yeah. Folks are just desperate. You know, I've lead generated with some agents and I've done some role playing with some agents, and they don't even care about the conversation. They don't even want to get to know what's going on in the situation with the buyer. They don't want to get to know what's going on in the situation with the seller. It's just, look, you want to get into contract? Yes or no? That's it. It's like nobody has the time. Nobody has the patience. Nobody really cares, as opposed to isolating the objection. Once you isolate the objection, then from there, you handle the objection. You answer the questions, and then you're able to close. And that's a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing right now with everything in this market, you know, in terms of what's happening.
Holistic route.
Yeah, go ahead.
Me no work. The number, it's original is fine. Original.
Okay, what can
Sprite 7 Up, something like that. All right, I'm with you. Yeah, get the.
No, go for it.
No, that's it. Order. Me no.
That's
eat,
right,
no
man.
Fly. I used to tell him me no eat, me no fly. Got to do it.
Right. Totally get that. Totally get that. So basically, just to handle this one last one here, and then we can jump into any questions that you might have. You know, it's a bad time to sell. No one will come and see it. Acknowledge the person. I can appreciate that you feel like it's a bad time to sell.
That agreeing with people works out really well. Because like my HomeBot stuff sends it out and they tell me the value's wrong and I tell them I absolutely agree. And I do. And I'd say, but I just want to let you see what the public thinks your home is worth versus what it's really worth. So while I have you, can I ask you a couple of questions and get you out some more accurate numbers? And then I go in and adjust it, and the response is so much better. Because they're, you know the deal.
Right.
Their feet are dug in and they're already ready for a fight.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you disarm them with that statement. And put yourself like, okay, on level ground, like, oh, okay, they're not disagreeing with me. And then you know, so we're here to be problem solving and solutions to things.
Exactly. And even here, when I wrote down, it's a bad time to sell, no one will come and see it. You know, I didn't dig deeper. Oftentimes I would dig deeper and I would say, well, what specifically about this time makes it a bad time to sell? Right. So I didn't do a deeper dive, you know. So let's pretend that, right, see it because it's the holiday season, just for this example, whatever it is that they tell me. So it's a bad time to sell. No one will come and see it because it's the holiday season. I can appreciate that you feel, I can appreciate that you feel like it's a bad time to sell right now because of the holiday season. Okay. And what would happen if you did list your home during this period and we help you net the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time, and we attracted the highly motivated buyer who would be willing purchase during the holidays. Would that work for you? Well, how are you going to do that? I'm so glad we're talking. I'm not going to answer the question. The question is only answered at the presentation.
Right.
And again, that's the biggest temptation. So the biggest temptation is for us to say, well, we're going to do a 17-point marketing ad. Here you want, I can show you what the pictures look like. I can show you what this looks like. I can show you the ads on Zillow. I can show you all these things. And we're trying to sell the person over the phone, or we're trying to sell the person over Zoom, however we're doing the conversation. Where the reality is like, okay, well, and we attracted a highly motivated buyer that would be willing to purchase your home during the holidays. Would that work for you? Oh, shoot. Okay, great. Boom. I'm so glad that we're talking. And the only reason I mentioned I'm so glad that we're talking, because that is a future pace. That is an embedded command that, hey, today is your lucky day. I am so glad that we're talking. Leon, I'm so glad that you're in the training today. I'm so glad. I'm so excited about you being here. Wow, he's excited. You know, it's like, how's that make the person feel? It makes them feel like welcome, like, man, this matters. This is important. And that's what we want our clients to feel. And what would happen? I'm so glad that we're talking. So when would be a good time for us to get together? Today at 3 or tomorrow at 4? And if the person is resistant, then I would just say, we only need 15 to 20 minutes for me to show you exactly what we do to help you get what you want in the time you want. Won't that be great? That's a typical tie down. Isn't that awesome? Yes. Anything that gets the person to say yes. Wouldn't that be great? Okay. Good for you. Awesome. Yes. Get the person to acknowledge at the end. Yes, 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 yes. The more yeses we can get them to say, the easier it is for us to close for the appointment, and the easier it is for us to be able to take the listing later on. Okay. So these are the things that we can do. This simple technique, I know I use this technique during the holidays as I'm lead generating, and at least 7 out of 10 times, I would be able to get the appointment. Because we're isolating the objection. Go ahead.
And I tell people, if we sit there, if for some reason we don't have an offer coming into Christmas, we can shut it down during that stretch, because people worry about the kids being home during the school break is one of their biggest concerns.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, we can limit the days or just pull it during that period. But at least this way, your house is still marketing. And I just remind them, come January 1st or 2nd, you're going to be now competing with a bunch of other houses in your neighborhood where people might undercut you or whatever. So you're eliminating your competition before it gets out the gate.
Exactly. That another thing too is we could even ask, what kind of buyer do you think would purchase during the holidays? So what kind of buyer do you think would purchase during the holidays? Would you say it's a
single couple or single person, or people who no longer have kids, or younger teenagers, teenagers or something?
Right. And I would say single person, everything that you said, etc. Exactly. And would you say that they are highly motivated?
Oh, yeah.
Or not?
And they're smart buyers because they know no one else is looking. So it's their opportunity to go out there and find a home they want.
You're absolutely right, Leon. So that's exactly why it's important that we get together, because I'm going to show you how we can use that to your advantage. Isn't that what you want? Tie down.
I had a question. I asked them what was it about their home that made them want to buy it? And I tell them I want to find a buyer just like them, because that's the qualities what attracted them to it. Although this is funny, you gotta be careful with that one. You gotta be careful with that one. If you had someone's been in a home for a while, it's good. Some of them bought in the last couple of years. Some of those guys bought just for the area, and they've had buyer's remorse or regret because they settled for something in the area. They got caught up in the inventory shortage, and so they just had to settle for what came up. They weren't happy with what they got. But so yeah, it's just a matter of feeling them out for the process.
Yeah. And even if that comes up, then we could say, well, here's the good news, right? We'll reframe it like we learned a couple of weeks ago with Dr. Orga. Here's the good news. The good news is we can make sure that we don't make the same mistake twice.
Right. That's a really good statement.
And here's the one thing, and before I close this out, the one thing, unless you have any questions or you want to go over some stuff, Leon, I always enjoy chatting with you and going back and forth on things. The one thing that I've learned is that as long as I keep the conversation going and I keep it on an upbeat and continuously reframe it in the right direction, then people are willing to get together. And the last thing that I would say is, and I'm learning this even now as more and more people sign up for coaching, as more and more people sign up for training with me, and they choose to whether go one-on-one or do VIP group, whatever works for them, that every sales conversation requires an outline. It requires practice. It requires writing down the questions, writing down the common objections. And I actually have to even practice handling the objections, because handling objections for people signing up for coaching and handling objections for somebody wanting to list their home with me or set up an appointment, I could pretend to say it's the same thing, but it is two different things. You know what I mean? Yeah. Coaching is a person who is somebody who signs up for coaching is someone who is willing to invest in themselves, right? Someone who's willing to invest in themselves, that's a special type of person. That's a person who sees that they have value in themselves, that sees that they deserve to invest in themselves, versus somebody that might see it any other way. But when it comes to listing a home, that could be a have to or a want to, and
a whole different emotional, it's a whole different set of feelings.
Exactly. So I think this is a really good point to make. And I don't know if you're diving into other businesses as well, other than just real estate, but I noticed that definitely writing down the objections for myself, writing down the answers, knowing how to handle it has made me better, at least in closing more people for coaching and showing them the value.
It's in my phone. It's kind of funny. I never thought of anything as a checklist. I came in the military. They have checklists for doing things. And then now you look at where checklists are about everything you do. So in my phone, I have checklists in there so that when I'm there, I can look at it and reference, because it's too easy to get distracted and you might forget a key point. So if I have it in front of me wherever I'm at, that it helps me keep on task, and it helps me make sure I don't drop the ball on what could be the key thing to seal a deal.
Yep, 100%. Well, all right, my friend. I have nothing else unless you are ready to rock and roll and you have some other questions.
Nope, I'm getting back to what I'm doing today.
Awesome. All right, guys. Have a great day, and we will reconnect next week.
I will see you next week.
You got it. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.